my ranking for all 9 movies in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. So I've recently re-reviewed all of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, so today I thought I'd go ahead and do my ranking of all 9 movies in the franchise. So I'm going to go ahead and get going. Coming in at number 9 is A Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010. This is the remake of the original movie, and I absolutely hated this movie. There's nothing about it that I can really say I liked. Aside from Jackie Earle Haley, who tries the best with what he has to work with, none of the actors really are very good in this movie. The story is not very great. They changed some things around and add some elements to Freddy that really should have just been left in the dark like it had been for all these years. It kind of takes away mystery and creepiness from him and everything. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Because I don't really want to say because trigger warnings and stuff, but I really don't like this movie. That's all I can say about it. So Nightmare on Elm Street from 2010 is number 9, and number 8 is A Nightmare on Elm Street 5: The Dream Child. Well, I don't think this movie is necessarily terrible or anything. It's not really that bad. I can handle watching it every now and then, but it is kind of a tough watch because it is really slow paced. The pacing really isn't that great. The kills aren't very good either, with the exception of maybe the comic book kill, but none of the kills really stand out in this movie. And even the comic book kill isn't as cool as it used to be to me. But I do think this one is an okay movie. It's not one of my favorites in the franchise. So Nightmare on Elm Street 5: The Dream Child is number 8, and number 7 is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Revenge. This is one of those movies that I've never really been a huge fan of in the franchise. It's always been one of my least favorites, and for a while it even was my least favorite out of the original franchise. But on this rewatch of all these movies, I decided to move it up one spot because I did have more fun with it when I watched it this time than I did when I was watching The Dream Child. But I think that Freddy's Revenge is an alright sequel to the original. I like some things about it. I love like how different Freddy is in this movie, and like how dark and creepy he is. He's one of the best versions of Freddy. I can't deny that. And I think it was an overall just decent movie, but it's not a great movie. It's definitely not one of the best in the franchise. So it's number 7, and number 6 is Freddy's Dead. This is one that I've always defended, and I always will. I do have a lot of enjoyment with this one. I love the Looney Tunes style Freddy. He's not scary at all, but as somebody who loves Looney Tunes, I got what they were going for, and for some reason it works for me. It's not going to work for most people. I don't know hardly anybody that really defends this movie aside from maybe one other person besides me. But I really love Freddy's Dead. I think it's a really fun movie. It has a good story and cast, and it's a lot of fun. It's really wonky and crazy, and has one of the best kills too, with Carlos's kill with the hearing aid and makes his head explode after torturing him for several minutes before. Brutal moment in the franchise, and that scene alone right there makes me like this movie quite a bit. Plus, you get the Wizard of Oz reference at the beginning, which it is a little cringy in ways, but at the same time I love it because I love the Wizard of Oz and I love Freddy, so putting them two together I think is pretty cool for a little reference and stuff. So Freddy's Dead is number 6, and number 5 is A Nightmare on Elm Street 4: The Dream Master. This is the 4th movie in the franchise, and easily the most underrated movie in the franchise. Like this one gets crapped on a lot because it's the one that really goes all out on the jokey Freddy and stuff, but I still think Freddy was a little bit intimidating in this one, and it has some pretty good kills in here, especially the cockroach kill, just so gross and graphic and ugh. But it was awesome. And then you also get the really cool kill when he like sucks the life out of the girl that's having the asthma attack and stuff. I love that scene too. It's pretty brutal and stuff. She did not deserve to go out like that because she was a likable character. But I do have my problems with it, like it just undoing everything that happened in the previous movie within the first 30 minutes of it and killing off the Dream Warriors. I didn't like that about it, but all in all, I think that The Dream Master is a fun movie, but it's not one of the very best in the franchise, but far from being one of the worst. It's kind of in the middle. So it's number 5. And number 4 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I absolutely love this movie. It is such a great movie. It is kind of one of the ones, so that as much as I love it, it's not one that I like to rewatch all the time. If I'm rewatching the franchise, I have no problem rewatching it. But if I'm just going out of my way to watch one of these movies, more than likely this isn't going to be one that I pick, just because the pacing isn't the best and it doesn't have the best kills. Because you really only have 2 kills in here, and one of them is pretty much just a recreation of the first kill from the first movie. But it's still a fun movie, and I think the meta storytelling was pretty interesting, and a little precursor to Wes Craven working on the Scream movies. But I absolutely love Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I think it's a really good movie in the franchise, so it's number 4. And number 3 is Freddy vs. Jason. Now, as I said when I did my Jason ranking, this is a really great Freddy movie, but a terrible Jason movie. But everything that they did with Freddy, they got right pretty well. The only thing that I wish I would have done different is at least let Freddy get 1 or 2 more kills. It makes sense in the story why he didn't get a bunch of kills, but I do wish we would have gotten more with him as far as kills go, because he only got 1 kill in this movie. But I love how evil they make Freddy in this movie, and there's parts where he's absolutely terrifying again, like he's supposed to be. This is the best one since part 3 on the mixing the humor and the creepiness on Freddy and making him both intimidating while also being funny and stuff too with his little one-liners. But yeah, so Freddy vs. Jason, well, like I said, it's not a very good Jason movie. It's a really great Freddy movie, and it's one of my favorites as far as Freddy goes, because I just absolutely love how creepy and unsettling he is in this movie. So Freddy vs. Jason is number 3, and number 2 is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original movie from 1984. This is probably going to shock some people. If y'all followed my channel, y'all know I love this movie a lot. And I really debated on whether I was going to have this at number 1 still, because in my previous rankings, I've had this movie at number 1. But on rewatch of this franchise, I realized that this isn't my favorite movie in the franchise because of one thing that made me drop it, and that's the ending. I've never been a big fan of the ending of Nightmare on Elm Street. I think the movie is great and everything, but that last couple minutes of the movie is just, to me, it just wasn't very good. I didn't really like the way the movie ended and stuff, so it dropped down to number 2. But it is a pretty good movie and everything. So Nightmare on Elm Street is number 2, and my number 1 favorite movie in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors. This movie is just a lot of fun, and I always forget how good it is until every time I rewatch it, but there's so many great moments in here, and Freddy is just at his best. He's both creepy as hell, but he also has some pretty good one-liners and stuff too, and they just blend it perfectly, which is something that they never were really fully able to recreate in the franchise. The closest they got was Freddy vs. Jason on being able to keep him creepy and funny and stuff. But I really enjoyed this one. I love the hospital setting, the atmosphere of the movie. It has a dreadful atmosphere from the get-go, and there's not much else I can say about Dream Warriors. I just absolutely love it, and it's easily my favorite out of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. So anyway, let me know in the comments what your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie is. If you want, tell me your ranking. If you don't want to do your full ranking, just tell me your favorite and least favorite or whatever. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.
Yeah!